Welcome to the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies, where there's always another secret.
Welcome back, Sixers, to another episode of the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies. This is episode 151, our final episode of 2023. Today is December 18th, 2023, otherwise known as Kolos Head Munching Day Eve. And I'm Bill and am joined, as always, by my edificial co-hosts, Amy and Jordan. Welcome.
Hello.
Man, it's so official sounding.
No, edificial.
Yeah, still official.
Before we get started, we want to remind our listeners that the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies is not a spoiler-free podcast. That means if there's something in the Cosmere you haven't read and are worried about hearing spoilers, you might want to go read those first, then come back and join the discussion. Now, tonight, we are continuing our discussion about Dragonsteel 2023 from our last episode, so we're going to be talking more about the announcements and such that came out there, but we may drift into some Cosmere spoilers. We can't promise we won't. It should be safe, but proceed at your own risk. Because we're going to be focusing on the major announcements that were made at Dragonsteel 2023 during Brandon's closing remarks. For those of you who listen to the podcast recordings or watch the videos on YouTube after the fact, we do want to remind you that it's possible for listeners to interact with us live via chat as we record each episode at www.youtube.com/Cosmere Studies. We record episodes every other Monday night, starting at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, so please join us and take an active part of the discussion. The podcast is made possible by the support of our listeners and patrons. It will, of course, continue to be free, but if you want to help us out, head over to patreon.com/Cosmere Studies. Even pledging $1 or $2 per episode really helps us out as we continue to work to improve the show. Patrons get immediate access to our Discord channel where you can talk about the show and the Cosmere with other listeners. We've got a good community over there. We have some fun discussions, all sorts of great things. You also get early access to bonus episodes, exclusive access to other bonus content, and other good stuff. Mm-hmm. Oh, gosh, it is crazy right now. Life is crazy.
It is.
It's a week before Christmas. So
gosh, I've got a red-eye flight coming up in a few days. I'll be leaving, I think the flight leaves at 12:30. So that'll be fun.
I have to drive him to the airport.
I don't.
But it's that time of year where you just start running around with like a chicken with your head cut off and hope that you make it to the to the right place before you fall down, die.
I actually have a question I would like to ask the chat. Since Monday is going to be Christmas Day, I'm going to be sticking around for Christmas. I was wondering if chat would be interested in a live stream with me on Christmas Day, just playing something like Jackbox games or something. So if you're interested in something like that, please leave a comment on either, right now, if you're in chat, or if this is the future, leave a comment there. Let me know. If we get,
would this be on this channel or on
this channel?
This channel. Interesting. And so maybe trying to keep Jackbox Cosmere theming. Or have you figured out how to do that?
No, heavens no.
No.
I haven't put we'll just... But I'm assuming we're going to get some Cosmere jokes if we do it. People know the audience, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, I just figured Christmas evening, a lot of people are sort of familyed out. And so they might need a little bit of I'll be familyed out. I know that much. Don't worry. No one in my family watches this. They'll never find out. My dad still has as his goal to get me to mess up and say Sander Branderson at some point.
Sandon Branderson. You can't even say Sandon Branderson, right?
It's on purpose. I don't want him to win.
It's so he won't win. Got it.
Yeah. You can't let the terrorists win, Bill.
It's spite.
The terror is coming from inside the house.
It always was.
I just made my 2 little terrorists. It's fine.
Guess so. My team at work had our what's it called? White elephant. Yeah, we did our white elephant. It was like an online one that we did. And I ended up with it's a little s'mores set where like it has like a little burner in the middle of it, and you can roast
Interesting.
s'mores inside. I was just like, okay, this is kind of cute. So
That is cute.
yeah. So we'll see how that goes. It's since it was online, it'll be delivered to me at some point. And then and also my 2 siblings who have me for Christmas this year got me the exact same gift.
It's like they know you and are
Uh,
related. You never know.
yeah, it's a triple crock pot. So like it's got 3 smaller crocks, so you can
Now
make
you
3
can do
different things.
6 crock pots.
And I was just like, now I have 6 crock pots. Technically 7 because I've got a huge one, but
Yeah.
we'll figure something out there. So,
Mm.
y'all got any other exciting plans coming up?
I survived my kid's birthday party, so that was good.
Impressive.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And I made a plush Toothless for a friend's kid, and
Nice.
I cut most of him out like last year, and now I finally put them together, and it took me like a day to put them together, and I'm like, why didn't I do this like months ago? So, but he really liked him,
because you
so
had to
we're
make
good.
it nice.
I had to
Somebody
make it
else I know was talking about Toothless yesterday. I think it was
But
my
I made a
it was my
dragon.
niece.
Yeah, but I made a plush dragon, and it was the Choli Knight or So Desne, her pattern, and it was really cute. But oh my goodness, I hate the spikes so much, and Minky sheds everywhere.
Oh, it's Minky. Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. You have the sticky roller on hand because it's everywhere,
Absolutely.
but it's super soft. So
Okay, well, let's move on to announcements. Jordan, you had an announcement about the cards, I believe.
Yes. So, chat, right now, I am pulling a Brandon Sanderson as I am both folding and signing Kolos Head Munching Day cards.
If his voice moves in and out, that's why he's moving around as he signs.
Yeah, I hopefully won't be doing that whilst doing it. But the artwork done by Amy's eldest.
Yep.
Much better and detailed than my previous year's attempts at trying to draw like a child. But more to the point, if you are one of the record 21 people who will be getting these things and you have changed addresses from the last time you did this, we kind of need that address change quick. So I'm going to be, so if you did that, let us know, because otherwise we're going to get it back.
Whoever lives where you used to is going to get a fancy.
They're going to be very confused and maybe think this is a threat. Please don't let them think it's a threat.
We don't need that kind of heat.
I don't know
Jordan,
what a
how
Kolos
is the?
is, but they want to eat me. I don't know what a Kolos is, but apparently they want to eat me.
Mini Scob died to bring us this information. Jordan, how is the push to 3,000 going?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because we are at 2,592 total hours watched.
So close.
That puts us at Bing 86.4%. So we are knocking on 90% store, and we actually are now at 903 total subscribers. Sorry, I had to remember what it's called. YouTube versus Twitch. Yeah, and so we're at 903. The next goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000, because then that's when we get ad revenue, the more passive one. So
nice.
If you want to continue helping us in 2024, keep watching those videos.
Yeah.
Look, it's Christmas. You've gotten through the year of Sanderson, and now you're having this horrible emptiness in your life. Why not listen to a podcast?
Indeed.
Go watch some old videos. It'd be great.
Well, on that note, it is now time for the Cosmere Thing of the Week. And as a special Kolos Head Munching Day gift to you, we actually have 2 Cosmere Things of the Week this week. The first one was made by me.
Yay! Yay!
So I'm pretty sure that my secret SayZ person is not one of our listeners. If you are, you don't know that this is coming to you. So, but I've been working on
If you
this
are, you're welcome.
for a while. So the information I received from my secret SayZ person is that their favorite character is Lift and that they are an edge dancer. Now, unfortunately, Lift's book, other than the small novella Edge Dancer, has not come out yet. But one of the things that I like to do for gifts is I do book folding. So what I did is I took Oathbringer, which is the book where I feel like Lift kind of gets the most screen time, and I folded the Edge Dancer logo into it.
That's so pretty. In that same kind of vein, I didn't want to steal your thunder, but I painted the Edge Dancer logo and a little spren there for my secret SayZ. They already got their thing, so I gotta find it. And I also did. They're a soother. So here's the other painting I did.
So I guess we have 3 Cosmere things of the week this week.
Yeah, so there's mine that I did.
Very cool. And then the other one is the Stormlight miniatures Kickstarter came in, and I spent way too much money on it, but the statues of Kaladin and Zeth are absolutely stunning
and heavy.
They're incredibly heavy. They are gorgeous. So this is the Kaladin. This thing is like, what would you say, about 1.5 feet tall?
Yeah, about
1.5 feet tall. The what's it called? The base is like a glass, like a heavy glass ceramic type thing, like solid. So it's hefty. So there's Kaladin, and then let me grab Zeth.
Don't drop it.
Don't worry. And then there's Zeth. And of course, he's wielding Jezrien's honor blade. So
it's so pretty.
So, like, and those are just the statues. Then there's all sorts of gazillion miniatures that I have to figure out how the heck I'm going to display or what I want to do. But I'm excited about those. So that is the Cosmere thing of the week. Let's move on then into Sanderson news.
There's a lot of it.
So there is a whole lot of it. This yeah, so this whole episode is basically going to be Sanderson news, but this is just the most recent weekly update that Brandon did. Of course, he'll probably do a new one tomorrow because that's when the
live stream is.
The State of the Sanderson comes out. But yeah, so Stormlight 5 is 96% done. And he said that the penultimate sequence is completed. But he's now has to move on to revisions, and he's looking to finish by the week of the 21st or 22nd. So that is an additional Christmas gift that I think we'll all be getting for Brandon. Skyward Legacy is at 91%. Brandon says that there's a possibility that Jancy could end up beating him to the finish line because she's kind of picked up speed recently. The Golanks, which is the British publisher, they have an exclusive hardcover edition now that is now available. So if you're in those areas, I don't know what what those are editions of, but
I think it's Stormlight.
Is it Stormlight?
I thought it was Stormlight.
I think you're right. So the Stormlight books, they're actually coming out in hardcover.
It was those covers that I remember seeing. Yeah,
because they all publish in paperback normally, but they're doing special hardcover editions and making them more widely available. So, as we mentioned, Kolos Head Munching Day is coming up December 19th. As we're recording this, that is tomorrow. If you listen to this on the day it is released, that will have been yesterday, which means the State of the Sanderson will come out. And if you're listening after the fact, it should already be here, I think. Last year, it was a few days late, but it sounded like, based on what I was hearing, it sounds like it's coming out tomorrow.
Because I think last year it was delayed because of the Hollywood stuff that was
It's
getting
possible,
shifted
yeah.
around, and that's, as far as I know, that's not a problem right now.
Well, and he's also started having the heads of all the different departments do their own
Do other
section
things, yeah.
in it.
Mhm.
But there will
know-
also be a spoiler. If you're listening live, if you're listening to the recording, it's unfortunately too late, but you can probably go look at the video. But there will be having a spoiler live stream at 6 p.m. Mountain Time on December 19th. So tomorrow, if you're listening now, yesterday, if you're listening after,
And that's our next episode,
whatever.
correct?
And that
Yes.
will be our next episode. Yes. So we're
And-
going to
and-
dive into that.
In other news, I folded all the Kolos Head Bunching Day cards, and
Congratulations.
now I can start signing them.
Yay.
Congrats.
Thank you.
In the December swag box, he released another Sanderson Curiosity. So the first Sanderson Curiosity he did was Way of Kings Prime, and now he has I can't remember what it's called. Jordan, you have it in front of you. What's the name of it?
It's called. There it is. Long Chills and Case Dough.
Yes,
It's a short story.
I didn't.
it's
I don't know.
It's a hard-boiled detective story. It's something that he pulled the line from one of his final essays.
It looks like it's some sort of cyberpunk noir thing going on.
Yeah,
The image,
Ooh.
the one image in here, this woman with like a prosthetic arm, but she's got like the classic 1930s femme fatale.
Jessica Rabbit kind of look, going.
Yeah.
he's having fun with it. Also on the 19th, they will be putting out teasers for the Words of Radiance crowdfunding campaign. They're calling it their pre-launch. So keep an eye on that. The Stormlight box and the Sanderson box, so November's and December's boxes for the Kickstarter, will be available to buy from the Dragonsteel online store in January. Unfortunately, there is a sad bit of news coming in January. The Leatherbounds are going to go up in price because everything right now is going up in price, and it was finally time. So Brandon held it at $100 for each of them for a while. But basically all the Leatherbounds are going to go up by $25. So the Shadows of Self and Bands of Mourning, or no, Alloy of Law and Shadows of Self Leatherbounds are going to be split. And you can buy them each for $100, and then all of the others are going to be $125. So that is sad, but also good news. Wind and Truth, which is Stormlight Book 5, is up for pre-order. So you can go and pre-order that now from wherever you pre-order your Bookly needs. The signed numbered copies, I think, if they're following the same pattern, they'll only be available as part of the bundle that you can get for Dragonsteel next year. So you can't just buy the numbered copies on their own. They're part of a bundle. That's just sort of how they're doing things now, just because the demand is so high at this point.
Yeah.
So
he's kind of popular now.
Have you heard of this guy?
Yeah, I think so.
What was it? Brent Smithsonian?
Sanderson?
Yeah, I don't know.
Greg?
Yes, his name is Greg.
Yes.
They're all Greg.
Can't trick me. It's Greg's all the way down.
Thought it was Doug's.
Oh boy. Okay, well let's move on into the main discussion. Okay, so the closing ceremonies of Dragonsteel. Brandon and Emily get up on stage, looking spectacular. Emily in her tiara and Brandon in his sparkly Bowser shoes.
Yes.
It was wonderful.
I love that she fully leans into the queen bit.
Well, I mean, that is her title.
That is her official title. When they were setting it up, they said that she couldn't choose her own title. She was like, "Can I be queen?"
Yeah, give me that.
And so she is the queen of Dragonsteel, and I don't think anyone begrudges her that. In fact, there were probably people who would be upset if she hadn't done that. No, Emily is just a fun person. I love, like, she's quieter than Brandon, but she's got a fun sense of humor. Like, one of my favorite stories is when they got married, Brandon, for his groomsmen gifts, he gave each of them a sword. And Emily heard about it. And she was like, I want a sword. And so he got one for her too. But just like, because Emily's Emily and she's awesome.
Yeah.
And she's a very good tipper for door dashers.
So I've heard. No, I would love to get her on the show sometime. She would be one of my favorite potential guests we could have.
The CEO of Dragonsteel? Yeah, I think that'd be a pretty good
No,
guess.
the queen of
Right.
Dragonsteel.
She's also CEO.
I thought Brandon was CEO.
No, she's the CEO.
Okay.
But Queen is the way
Well, cool.
cooler title.
Oh, absolutely. So there were 32 new products that debuted at Dragonsteel this year.
Here's one of them. I'm wearing.
Amy is modeling one of them, the Nomad's Sun Run, or is it daily Sun Run? Yeah.
Yeah, first daily Sun Run.
Yeah, instead of annual, it's daily. So because if you haven't read The Sunlit Man, you should, and you'll understand because it's a great bit. What other things? Let's see.
There was the
a
cup.
gazillion
There was
plushies.
the bowl. There's all the slugs. There was Mervin, the plushie.
There were a bunch of pins.
All the pins. I didn't
To
get
say
the
everything in all
one.
the boxes.
The boxes were sold at Dragonsteel, but those weren't considered debuted at Dragonsteel.
Yeah, and then there were the Christmas sweaters. There were a couple more shirts because I got 4 different shirts. One of them was a previous year's shirt, though. It was the Stormlight simplified version.
I didn't get this year's because they didn't have XL there, and
yeah, I hope they.
I haven't seen them show up on the website, so I don't know that they're available.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I may miss out on the shirt this year, which I'm not happy about.
Well, let's see.
Look,
if you get an extra large, I could take one in, Bill. I could tailor it down.
I think most of them are sold out. I think 3X is the next that would fit me.
If you can find one that is
too
big, I can size it down. So
anyway, we'll see about that. But yeah, so some amazing products, and you know that Kara and her team and Isaac and his team are all hard at work planning stuff for next year.
Well, I mean, that's part of what we learned about from last year. We're going to get the plushies of all the Spren
for the next for the Words of Radiance Kickstarter, which that was one of the things they announced. That is going to happen in from March 5th to April 29th, 2024. It's not going to be a Kickstarter this year. It's going to be on BackerKit, but it'll still be crowdfunded. And yeah, they were just saying people need to be able to get plushies of their Spren, which oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah, they even showed the concept of the Windrunner.
Of Syl, yeah. So
it's adorable.
I mean, everybody wants a squeezable Spren.
Emotional support Spren. I'll have it's an edge dancer. I'd have a Windle probably or something like that.
I'd have a Windle. Yeah, I'm trying to think what that would look like in a plushie form. Also, it's like for the Cryptics, are they going to do the well, and it's not clear. Are we doing the Shadesmar version or are we doing the Roshar version?
Because that could be really.
And if you squeeze the Cryptic, does it tell you to not mate? Because if it doesn't, is it really a Cryptic?
That's on the title list potential. If you squeeze a Cryptic. Oh. No, I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I may end up spending way too much money again because Brandon hates my wallet. No, Brandon likes my wallet.
I was going to say no. Brandon loves your wallet. He's intimately
Brandon needs to get his hand out of my wallet right now.
You're just no. Where'd it go? The money.
I need it.
But yeah. No, I'm looking forward to this Kickstarter. They put together like a fancy epic video.
Mm-hmm.
It had Michael Kramer on it.
Of course it had Michael Kramer on. He's using his Stormfather voice.
Yeah, I can't do Stormfather voice. I wish.
But it's gonna be good.
Mhm.
So
And the next convention's going to be over the weekend too.
so
Changing it.
Jordan, you would have an ink spread
Yep.
because you're an else color,
Elf
right?
color. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, that'll be interesting.
A little black figure. Boop, boop, boop. Cute.
Lieberlita in chat says the Dragonsteel team knows our address as well.
They do.
Yeah.
But in
Just
all
try-
honesty, I think it's because they're such fans of it. They also have a good idea of what it is fans would want.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and
Mhm.
that's one thing that I've noticed, like even about Brandon. Like, yes, Brandon is, the head of this company, but at his heart, he's a fanboy. Like, he has always been a fanboy. I remember the very first time I met him, I was just like, "Oh, you're different than I thought. You're like my friends. Like, you're awkward like we are. That's just awesome."
It's great.
But yeah, it's just, and so he and his entire team, they're all fan folk. So
Fan
it's just
spread.
fan spread. But yeah, so there's going to be some good stuff. I'm just trying to think about each of what would a peak spread look like?
The stuffing better be
Shoot,
coming out of it.
I'm thinking a high spread would definitely be all covered, all sorts of glitter. That thing's going to get stuff everywhere.
And the ash spren would have like some cloudy breathing something.
My cousin referred to glitter as Satan dust. It just sticks everywhere.
There's another description that crafters use, but I don't know that I should say it on a family.
I was thinking the same thing.
So yeah, if you know, you know.
Well, if you're in our Discord, we'll put it in there. But but yeah, I'm excited for these. I'm also interested to see what else they put in, because like they put so much in the first Kickstarter that it's just like, okay, what else can they do? You have 8 more books to do this for.
Well, it's interesting because he actually recently he had Daniel Green on, and they were talking about their 5 concerns about the industry going forward. And one of the things they talked about was he's worried about revenue going down per book. And one of the things he's suggesting for new authors to do is keep your rights to leatherbounds or high-end stuff. And he talks about how, if you can get about a 50% on it, you get 1,000 fans, you can actually make a living off of it, blah, blah, blah. But it was interesting hearing him go through that because we all know Brandon's whole thing is trying to squeeze in as much value into it as possible.
Right.
And so
it'll be very interesting. Well, and that's the thing that's so interesting with these Kickstarters. Yes, he made a lot of money, but a lot of that money went right back into the production of these things because they were very, very high quality, high production things.
Well, I mean, just something as stupid as this little tiny book. Like, it's hardbound. He didn't have to do that. He could have simply just given us a QR code to here's your ebook
of it,
But no, he gives us something awesome. It's glossy, it's shiny.
Well,
and nerds love shiny things.
Speaking of the ebook, that's actually going to be available for free on Kolo's Head Munching Day.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
There will be an ebook for that available. I'm guessing you'll go to his website or something, but yeah, and so it's just like
maybe we should do an episode on it.
You didn't have to do that. We'll see how it is. So I haven't read it yet. So
me neither.
We may do it. Okay. Well, shall we go on to the biggest announcement of them all, both figuratively and literally?
Sure.
Guys, Brandon's building a castle.
I know, it's great.
Well, he's actually building a village or an estate or a manor or
frankly,
basically
looking
it's an
at
event space.
It looks like a French chateau the way the
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and
I can see
it is a chateau style, actually.
Okay.
So
See,
this
I
is
was
what
worried.
they're
I was
calling
worried I wasn't using that properly, so I'm glad to hear that.
chateau is right. No, so this
I'm
is
cultured.
what they're calling the Dragonsteel construction project, and they posted not blueprints but some concept art for it.
Yeah.
And basically what they wanted is they wanted a destination for fans, because right now the two destinations for fans other than Dragonsteel itself, like other than the Dragonsteel convention itself, are the warehouse and their own home, which they don't want people coming to their home. They love they love their fans, but there's a lot of us.
Yeah, that's
There's a whole lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so someday I want to see the lair myself, but we'll see if we can ever get
If
there.
we ever get there, yeah.
So something interesting. They talked about how it's going to be in Utah County.
Mm-hmm.
What if I told you I think I know exactly where it's going to be?
So I've had a few ideas. How do you know exactly where it's going to be?
That's the interesting part. So I need the floor a little bit for this. Okay.
Oh boy.
I recently clicked on a video. It was covering some older news about Brandon earlier in the year, and it was it was a subject that was covered a lot, but it was someone I'd never noticed, and I'm like, oh, I want to see what they said.
Okay,
It was concerning.
We're not gonna dox them, are we?
Oh heavens, no.
Okay.
No, but no, it was just just some booktubers. I forget their names. I feel bad about it, but they were reacting to an article called "Brandon Sanderson is Your God," and so
we know that article. Well, we typically don't acknowledge.
No, not normally. We do not, but there was a piece of it that was in it that after Dragonsteel meant something way different than it did before Dragonsteel, if I may read. This is when he's over at Evermore. It says he gets recognized by everybody. I guess that's inevitable when you go to a fantasy land with a fantasy legend, in parentheses, who has literally just purchased a $5 million plot of land across the way for who knows what world building reasons. And if you go to Evermore, there's a lot of empty plots of land right next to it.
Huh.
And it was just, it was one of those things. I was listening to it, laughing again at the insanity of that article. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, there was useful information in this. It's the first useful information I got from this.
A lot of people have speculated that it would be, well, because we know that Evermore actually has been wanting Brandon to buy them for a while.
But apparently, according to this article, he bought a 5 million plot of land across from Nevermore, and there are two particular Evermore. I keep calling it Nevermore, but there are two particular empty plots that are clearly under development around there that I think could easily be the location.
I would love that, because that's easy access to where we are.
And it's a little bit more of a drive for me, but it's still very doable.
Yes.
Very doable. Because I've been to Evermore once. I ran around as a Jawa just for kicks with some other
I've been to Evermore before as well.
But yeah,
it's so charming.
It was just hilarious, just because we obviously avoided talking about that article as much as we could
because reasons.
But the fact that it suddenly showed up again and it actually had merit of some kind, I was shocked.
Craziness.
Oh man, I would love it if it was there. Like I feel like that's just a great location too.
Yeah, well, it'd be right off the freeway,
mm-hmm.
Right off of Interstate 15. So those of you in California, just a easy drive right up.
Drive.
Yep. Up. There's a whole lot of cross-pollination between Brandon's fandom and Evermore itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I would absolutely love that. And then and they've talked about what they want to do with this place, and it's just, because first it was like, let's just make a bookstore, a really cool bookstore.
Well, first it was just they needed. It's going to be a warehouse,
it was not a warehouse, a headquarters.
Headquarters,
where you can have, because they've had their people split for so long.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, well, what if we made it a really cool bookstore? Well, what if we? And so they're still figuring out a name. Which, do y'all have any speculative names, chat? If you have any, pop some up. We'd love to hear what you think they should call it. I actually was speculating on what they could call, because when you call it, it's not Dragonsteel Con, it's just Dragonsteel, and it's easy to get that mixed up with the company. I think they could call the convention Dragonspiel. I think that'd be fun.
I like for the new project, I like Sanderland, but that's just because I like the movie Austin Land, and that just kind of flows the same way.
Yeah,
but I don't think they'd actually call it, but that's fun.
Cosmere, or
knowing him, he'll focus it on Dragonsteel because he's not all that vain.
Oh,
I still want them to install the roller coaster, the Sanderlanche, but I don't think I'm getting my wish.
I would write it.
Oh man,
it would be a bad idea, but I would write it at least once just to say that I rode the Sanderlanche. But yeah, like I've heard Silverlight as a speculative name for it.
Well, I like Daniel Green's idea for it.
What was that?
It was the Sando Brando Lando.
No,
he's not gonna.
I cannot condone this. Not even a little bit.
The nickname though.
Oh gosh, no, just no. But
yeah, like they're like
said an event space.
There. Yeah,
they wanted an event. Yeah, maybe you can get married at or have your wedding reception at Dragonsteel.
Let's be real. That would be amazing. Like, there's going to be some of the dirtiest weddings you've ever seen. Like, someone's going to be dressing up like some survivorist, church priest, trying to recreate the one that we see.
Survivorist church, nothing. They're going to be Dalinar and Navani with the Stormfather.
Oh man.
I don't know if they're going to be able to get the Stormfather. He's a hard get.
You're also going to have all sorts of Shallan and Adolins, and you're going to have oh gosh,
with veils and radiance in the backgrounds, just to make it even more fun. That's their bridesmaids. Anyway, I had to say it.
They said,
which one's the maid of honor?
So, an event space, a cafe, possibly community rooms, a game store, an art gallery. I'm just sitting here thinking a board game cafe.
The art gallery I really like, because there's so much of like Brandon gets a lot of artwork donated and stuff like that. A place where other people can enjoy it would be pretty awesome.
I mean, when we went to the warehouse a couple years ago, there were a bunch of pieces of art that were just sort of stacked in the corner, and
they didn't have a place for me.
There's only so much room that you can do it, and so actually having a display area, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and I was thinking about the whole thing, the idea of him doing a bookstore, like just the fact that he wants to do that. There's some really interesting things you can do with a bookstore when you're one of the authors. In particular, if you're Brandon, you also have all your friends. You have all your students, maybe. Like, how cool would it be for Brandon to be able to take like his students' work or something and put out some sort of like, omnibus for them that they can sign and people can get the first bite at, young and upcoming authors.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's exclusive.
Making compilations. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's exclusive to his little store. And it'd be cool for them. They could sign it. It'd just be a lot of fun.
They'd get some royalties.
Yeah.
There are people who would buy it just because it's a collectible.
Yeah. Well, and how cool would it be to get like, so one of them goes big and suddenly you have one of their first books that has it in.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, plus Brandon, I mean, if you went to Dragonsteel, Brandon has a network of authors already that he works with.
Yeah.
And artists. Yeah. And so just showcasing their stuff would be awesome for him and for them.
Yeah. Well, and then it'd be I really like the idea of a cafe, like especially on those snowy days. Just go
board
in,
game cafe,
get a nice cup of cocoa,
play a round of Magic the Gathering.
Oh, there'd be so many Magic cards there.
There's just
Uh-huh.
a pop-up tent that's just selling magic cards.
It's called Magic the Brandoning.
I like it. At the same time, like, actually, if you like, events like that would be pretty cool to host.
Or the
Mhm.
I said the brandoning, but the sandering could also be another.
Mm. Yeah, Magic the
Yeah,
Sander.
but like he could have tournaments and stuff. But like they did mentioned, doing this, are basically going to be entering a lot of additional markets and businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and
So
it was like one of the things that was encouraging was the fact that they said this is a 4 to 10 years out plan.
Yeah.
I like that this
Yeah.
isn't something that they're, going heavily
gonna
into
rush,
debt
yeah.
and trying to rush it through. They're going to
Mhm.
build it slowly.
And
which
well.
means I still have time to actually find a woman to marry, so that I could have my wedding reception at Dragonsteel.
You're going to find the woman you want to marry this week, and you're like, look, honey, we gotta
Gotta wait 4 years
Just
at
do like
least.
a vow renewal there. You could do that too. So
But yeah, it's just this place is gonna be cool. This place is gonna be really, really cool. It's one of those things. I would. It's the kind of thing that it seems very, very pie in the sky, but I've seen the work that Brandon's team can pull off at this point, and they're willing to reach out to high quality people to make high quality end results. They don't cut corners,
mm-hmm.
and at this point, Brandon actually is, successful enough that he can afford to invest the money in this.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Like,
Yeah.
it's just that simple. It's going to be a simple, fun thing. And you know what? Event spaces are just a good thing kind of to be in business in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a nice, high quality one that's easily accessible because it's right off the freeway.
Yep. That has a built-in fan base already.
And then you have the synergy with Evermore, if they survive.
Let's hope.
Well, hey, this might help them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. A Chowder
Isn't
stand
that
would be a
also
good idea.
Isn't that also close to that place? I don't know if they're still around, the Void.
I don't think
like
that's
it's
around
close to where-
anymore.
It's not around anymore.
That
I don't
was
think
near
it is.
it. I don't.
It was near it.
Uh-huh.
But
yeah, it's just. Well, and the other thing is, that as soon as this place goes up, that area is going to develop quickly.
Oh boy, yeah.
Because there is a lot of developable land.
I don't
in
know
that
if you've been
area.
around there recently. It already is.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
Oh, has it gone up again? Like, I knew it was going up, but I was thinking
It's kind of empty around Evermore a little bit, but
Yeah.
the rest of it's got more stuff going on.
Okay.
It's a busy place. But no, the other thing that I like as far as this idea is Brandon's real big on trying to keep things physical and keep things, around so that people can enjoy it in a communal nature. And this gives a good space to do that. And I think it's one of these weird things where fans need to have a place where they can make a pilgrimage every once in a while, sort of a rite of passage. And Dragonsteel isn't always at the best time for everyone else. So this provides one. And at the very minimum, it's still like they need a headquarters regardless. So
Yeah.
even if the side businesses don't work, they still need a headquarters.
The thing that I like, though, is like he's making a headquarters and he knows that people are going to want to go there. And so rather than it just being a headquarters that people can go by and say, oh, look, there it is, he is making a place that people can attend and stay. It's you don't just go and say, oh, look, I saw it. You can actually go not just tour the offices, but have an experience. You can go to the cafe, you can walk the grounds, you can do all these different things.
Well, and then there's just the intrinsic advertising a space like that ends up creating. There's going to be all sorts of people who have never heard of Brandon Sanderson, but this thing goes up and they're going to be like, what is that? And it's like, oh, it's for this author. And it's like, an author needs an entire headquarters?
Yeah.
And it's going to make people say, oh, maybe I need to check that out.
Walt Disney started drawing in a garage.
Yep.
So. Oh, man. And Tony Stark built his in a cave with scraps.
I'm sorry, sir, but we're not Tony Stark.
He already made that parody.
Yes,
He
he
grew a
did.
whole beard for it.
But I had to continue the joke. It was there.
Okay. Sidebar.
Yes.
Let's speculate on the future of the beard. Will it remain after the end of the year? He said it would remain until the end of the year. Will it continue?
I don't know. It seems like Emily, his wife, is not against it. At least
That's.
which is
I was
usually
gonna
a big
literally. I
factor.
was gonna say like the deciding factor has nothing to do with any of our decisions or his decisions.
100%. I
be
agree.
her
I'm
and
trying
him,
to speculate on what will happen. What
do you think, Amy? You're the expert.
Well, I'm not married to Brandon. I'm not the expert in that. I
Wait,
like
what?
my husband's
More
beard.
than us
I
two
wish.
single-
Wait. You're not married to Brandon. Why are you on this podcast? This has all been built on false pretenses.
My goodness, I'm holding out on you.
I was wondering
no,
why we couldn't get better placement.
we were by the truck gate.
And it was
Freezing when it
It was so cold setting up. Anyway, thank you, Dragonsteel. It was so wonderful to get the booth. We love you.
Yes.
Continuing, but no, I like my husband's beard. I know that many guys tend to like beards because it helps the face shape and different things. So I think it will probably continue. I don't know that it'll get super long and wizardy yet. I feel like that'll probably wait a few years before that happens. Oh, and in chat they're like, if it depends on if his mother wants more family pictures. Yeah, family pictures is also a factor. But
do you remember what he called the long wizardy version?
No, I don't remember.
Full Brandolph.
Oh, that's right. I remember there was a good pun he had there, but I couldn't remember what the pun was. But yes, so I think it'll continue. I don't know that it'll continue to that Brandolph length. But
I'm thinking. I could be completely wrong on this. I'm thinking it'll come off for the next year, but I don't know that for certain.
I just think he's at his part of his authorial career where he needs the beard. The beard is now like you have the fresh face, but at this point he's now you don't. I don't want the Brandolph. I think the Brandolph just. It makes it look like all you do is right, and you live just in a basement, and you're not really. You don't look. It just doesn't look well. Even when it's well kept, it doesn't look well kept, in my opinion.
Right. No, I think at some point he will probably go full Brandolph just because he can.
Yeah.
But
knowing him, he'll then auction off the beard or something.
He'll have a wig made out of it and auction it off.
He'll braid it up and then keep it for something. Oh goodness! Oh,
it's a one of a kind item, and people will think you're a stalker, but don't worry about it.
Yeah.
People will start using it as an oath by Brandon's beard. You shall be avenged.
Yeah, no, it's
by
another
Brandon's
random
weird
tangent. I have actually donated my hair a couple times, so there are wigs with my hair out there somewhere in the ether. But
that's a weird thought.
Yeah, and I'm actually planning to cut my hair again in the near future, and that's if it's long enough, it'll probably be another wig for a child. Because if you only need 8 inches for a kid's wig, so
cool.
That'll be number 3 for children.
Oh man.
Anyway.
We also kind of skipped over. So Dragonsteel 2024, the dates were announced.
Yes.
That is going to be December 5th through 7th, which thank goodness is over a weekend. And it's after Thanksgiving. I'm so excited about this.
This is actually kind of a big deal because books normally come out on Tuesdays.
Yep, Brandon's throwing his weight around.
Yeah, this is a sign of Brandon telling the publishing industry, I'll do what I want.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I've heard from some there's some big Jewish creators and things like that, and so they're gonna have some interesting struggles with that because Friday if they're keeping their Sabbath, but I hope they figure things out. So, but I mean
miss
that's
a day, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh, well, and that's why you notice it's releasing on the night of. Well, actually, no, that is still.
It is
still
Friday night
crossover.
that I think they're gonna release
Right,
it.
but Sabbath begins at sunset. So
No, shoot, I don't know my.
Sabbath begins at sunset on Friday night.
Is it Friday? I thought it was on Thursday through Friday, but
no, it's Friday through Saturday.
Shoot, I don't know that. I don't know these things well enough, but I hope they figure stuff out how to make that okay. So,
but no, it'll be. I'm so excited to have this, not on Thanksgiving week.
I'm just glad for the not Thanksgiving week.
I usually leave to travel for Thanksgiving on Wednesday, and so I just have to kind of rush.
Well, heck, on top of it all, we might be able to go to a few more panels with it being spread over 3 days.
3 days, yeah.
That
I mean, that's
very,
us,
very nice.
us selfishly talking about it instead of having a booth. But
but we, that is one of the things that we've had to sacrifice. And it's been worth the sacrifice. But if we can view more of the panels, that'd be great. Because we're fans too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I'll have to have 3 costumes.
They'll figure out the line.
Hopefully they've got a better store situation.
So Bill doesn't have to stand there for 3 hours.
Oh gosh.
And I don't have to solid snake my way in.
Mm-hmm. And I just wave at Steve. Steve, let me in.
It's hard to believe that it was almost a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, it's crazy. Anyway, crazy.
No,
Time flies so fast.
No, the other thing that's interesting about it going over weekend is the fact he's going to 3 days, just sort of showing they kind of feel the need to add a 3rd day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes sense. This is the 5th Stormlight book. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll do 3 days from here on out, or if they'll scale. Scale to.
Well, because it is, like you said, it's Stormlight. But the next several books that are coming out, they're big books,
right?
Yeah,
it's Mistborn.
Yeah, it's going to be Mistborn and Elantris.
Oh yeah, because it's going to Mistborn and Elantris.
He's going to enter space.
Oh yeah. Whew. This is going to be like the 80s Mistborn.
Yep. Stonewashed jeans.
I can't wait to hear the synth bands of the era.
Oh man.
So not gonna happen. I'm like 98% certain it's not gonna happen. But what if Brandon started having a concert at Dragonsteel? I would love it.
Well, the other thing. So it's out. The episode is out now of Intentionally Blank. So if I can talk about that now.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So Ben, the guy who's always, how about that, Ben? He had a bunch of us make a Cosmere choir, and so he gave us a few different little prompts. And now the tunes are suddenly gone. Anyway, but we had a couple different cues. And I think we had like read and find out. But of course we didn't get any Raffos, so we didn't get to do that one. And then we felt bad because there were no food heist sounds for Dan. That felt sad. Anyway, but we got to be in the whole video. So if you see a lady standing in the front on the left side in a pink yukata, that's me with the white wig. So I'm in there, and it's cool. And we got to stand there. And we got to be the choir and annoy them, and it was great.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But no.
All right. Well,
there's going to be some interesting stuff with it being over 3 days, with it being book 5. Now, I do worry we're going to have to see how it lines up. Are we going to have to power through in a week on that book?
Oh gosh,
I don't know that I
it's
can
very
do it.
possible.
It's
That
so
might
hard.
be our first episode of 2025, because this is a Stormlight book and it's also Christmas.
Just saying. We've done it before. We can do it again.
We've done it before to our own detriment.
It was great. Everyone loved it. The downloads were
No.
wonderful.
It was so rough.
Oh, man.
Oh.
The things we do for love.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, any final thoughts on but before we start going into the outro, and also we've got a couple emails to look at.
Should we
Well,
pause?
we got
Should we do
yeah,
should we do-
the pause.
Oh yeah, it is time. Yeah, we'll hit the emails afterwards. So
Okay.
we'll come back after the break and see y'all in a few minutes. And we're back. So that covers most of the just announcements that happened when Brandon and Emily were up on stage. But after that moment, Brandon then moved into his own sort of spiel where he gave he basically gave an address.
Yeah, his keynote address.
Yeah, it was basically his keynote address. It was really, really
It spoke to me.
I was going to say, yeah, it touched me in a way that I was not expecting. It was really very, very good.
Well, especially with how it started, where he's talking about liminality and
liminal
the
spaces and everything.
yeah, the ideas of these areas of transition in our lives and why it evokes fear. And one of the things, it was very interesting. It definitely wasn't a speech I was expecting.
Yeah.
The thing he talked about was he was talking about how he's kind of right now in a liminal part of his career. Era 2 came to an end last year. Stormlight Era 1 is coming to an end next year. The Defiant series is coming to it. Yeah, it's coming to an end. And so a lot of things that he's been building up
which
are
is
ending.
Interesting, because we've commented on the fact that for the longest time, the only thing that he had fully completed was the Steelheart trilogy.
Yeah.
Because like Mistborn, yes, he'd finished the original Mistborn trilogy, but there was more Mistborn to come. But that was really the only thing that he had actually completed.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no, but that was an interest. I'd never thought of his career sort of coming like into a transition period, but it really kind of is. And the year of Sanderson was sort of that transition phase, because for them that this is a period of great change. We got to go to the opening for Sunlit Man, and it was really cool because Peter Ahlstrom was there along with Karen Ahlstrom, and one of the things they were talking about, because we asked him, has there been any growing pains with the company being so big, and he talked about how there's so many people, you're hiring people to do jobs you used to have, and they're having some issues trying to figure out, okay, wait, what is it that I don't do anymore, because I've always done this. And they've got to learn to let go of certain tasks they used to always do, because
which is hard.
Yeah, because a new person might not do it right, but you got to let them, and that's a difficult thing. And so it's been very interesting. But the thing I really liked about his speech was he started talking about how his career and his company, they're all at this transition phase, but he then moved it more towards life and life lessons from the transition phase. He talked about fear of the blank page. And
it is a real thing.
Yeah. And I wish I'd written this down. I forgot it. But one of the things that really stood out to me was he started talking about how do you get over this fear of the blank page. And one of the things he talked about for him, it's a literal problem, fear of the blank page, which is a weird thing to ever think that he has issues of fear of the blank page, given all the memes we give about Sanderbot and all the other.
Here's a new book. Here's a new book. Yeah.
And it just appears. but it's interesting. Even he has it, and one of the things he talked about was how whenever he finishes a chapter, he always makes sure to write a little bit more, so that when he shows up the next day, it's not a blank page. He has some starting point.
I found that very interesting because reading each of his books, I always would like with Mistborn, whenever I finished a chapter, I'd read the next epigraph.
Interesting.
Like it would, I would do that. I would go just a little bit in. So
No, and so for me personally, like he said that, and it got me to start thinking, how can I make it so there's not a blank page the next day, and things like that. It was. I mean, we got into a conversation because we had to go home immediately after that speech.
because I had an early morning flight.
Yeah, because you had to fly, and so, but we talked about it and how it was sort of for us like. We didn't know it, but it was the speech we were looking for. Like it really helped put get us thinking about things that we didn't know. It was just so weird. It was so unexpected. It was not, I wasn't sitting there going to this convention being like, well, I hope Brandon has a speech that really helps, me get thinking about my life. But it came, and like, we're just both leaving and we're like, okay, I kind of needed that. Yeah, me too. Like it was, and we didn't realize we needed it. I don't know.
No,
Was it the same for you, Amy?
My anxiety over that week had been really, really high, and for the everything had just been going, like it had been sending it higher. And as I walked out, I was like, it's kind of eased. I don't know exactly what it was, but this is what I needed to hear. How about you, Amy?
I was still stressed after it, but that was because I was frantically trying to get our booth packed up, and be ready. I mean, I had a hotel that was the hotel that was attached, but I still wanted to make sure that I was just like, I can just grab my stuff and go in the morning and not have to struggle about it. So I was way too focused on that, and I really did enjoy all of his commentary. And I had my kids really like this video game stuff called the Back Rooms, and my brain saw the pictures that he was putting up, and I'm like, oh no, it's that. But I was like, but then I moved past it and was listening to what he was saying versus just the images, and I was like, yeah, there are a lot of transitionary things going on, and like even just talking about it now has had me thinking about it more, because I've been just like frantically jumping around because I had a kid's birthday, I have Christmas getting ready, I had Thanksgiving, I had all these things that I had to do, and now I'm basically ready for Christmas, so I can like breathe again, kind of. And it's transitions are kind of scary, and you have to be able to let go of what was and be okay with that and enjoy it, but not get so fixated that you can't progress, because if you're not progressing, then you're kind of stuck.
That was one of the things I got out of it, because he was talking about how when you go through these transitionary phases, you can't go back. And he's talked about how there are certain pieces of his earlier career that he misses, because there wasn't the expectations. There wasn't, all these people pulling at him from different sides, because there's an important part of the business. And it was one of the things that helped re-energize him during COVID, was he just sort of, while the world was sort of falling apart around us, it gave him a chance to just sort of just write for the fun of writing, which he hadn't done for a while. And so it was just interesting. It was acknowledging that, yeah, there is an inherent tragedy to these transition phases, because you're not going to be the same person going through. It's a common theme he goes over with Dalinar in Oathbringer, that he's not the same man. And but at the same time, it's such a great opportunity. And I loved him couching it in such bittersweet terms.
Well, it was really interesting hearing that, because I as on a selfish note, as a fan, there are parts from his early career that I miss, because he was a lot more accessible back then.
Well, heck,
You know, like
he came to
I've
our club
yeah,
just to
Yeah,
give a
he
speech.
did.
Our tiny little club.
yeah. I've I mean
And
I've
I
been
got
a
to talk to him.
yeah I've been a fan of his since the early days, since he was just sort of some schmuck posting on a forum that he and his friends threw together so that they could get free access to video game betas. And you know, so and so it was just the kind of thing where like you could reach out to him and get a response. Now he's got these millions of fans, and so you, as a fan, you don't stand out. And so like like I said, it's a selfish perspective, but it's still
Yeah.
there. It was something, you know, as you see people that you admire, you are thrilled to see them succeed, but then at the same time it's just like, oh, but I miss this other time before.
Yeah.
Well, and it's one of those things that sort of makes Brandon unique is he's never, I feel, lost sight of what he used to be. And he's never let that go. He embraces that. And it's something that you see a lot of other people who get thrust into the world of even, very minor celebrity. You see them sometimes forget where they came from because they're so wrapped up in where they are now. And now has a
Yeah.
lot of demands. Right? Not even, I'm not saying like they're egotists or anything. It's just suddenly they're bigger and they have a lot more stuff they have to do. But
Mhm.
Brandon has never lost sight of that. And he just seems to have such a great appreciation for where he came from and trying to
Yeah.
pay it forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It-
He's always felt very genuine and not just like putting on a facade for people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going back to that article we didn't want to talk about in the past. One of the things the guy struggled with was talked about he was trying to find the truth of it. Like what's the real
dirt?
thing?
What's the skinny? Or
It's like
Yeah.
you're looking at it.
whatever.
Yeah, well,
It's
and
what
and
there
I
these
think
people.
for him, who's he's an investigative journalist of some kind, I think maybe someone that genuine was very like
He didn't know how to deal with it.
it was almost unbelievable to him.
It reminds me of there was an episode of The Office where Kelly is starting to be interested in Daryl, and she says, he just says what he's thinking. I mean, what kind of a game is that? And it's like that's sort of the attitude that this person had.
Yeah. Well, and it's just, getting away from the article was because Brandon is just so genuine and just tells you what he thinks. It's very unique to get someone from his station able to give advice to people that is just sort of on life. Like if you haven't listened to his it's all over on YouTube, you can go view it. And the first part is him and Emily giving all the announcements, but his speech is up there. And and if I were playing bingo on his speech, I definitely wouldn't have had backrooms getting referenced as part of that. That came but it made perfect sense once you understood what he was talking about. But it was just one of these things where I'm just sort of grateful that this is the fandom that, I've chosen to sort of obsess over. And I can have that trust that there's a good guy steering that ship.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just really enjoyed it. And I highly recommend everyone check it out.
I can completely agree.
That and his other one that he did too. What was that other like video he put out where it's like talking about driving through the snow and stuff like that? I remember that one was really good too. Alone, yeah.
It wasn't did
That
they
was
do a
just
video version of it as well? I remember it was a blog post.
There's
they did a video version.
Oh, I didn't remember a video version. Okay. And if you want just reading the post as well, it's very,
good.
very good.
He's a good writer. Go figure.
Imagine
who'd have
that.
known? Who'd have thunk it?
I was told he's not a very good writer, but
That's hogwash.
I still can't believe that's the same year as this year. Doesn't that feel like forever ago?
Well, it is the
I
year of
know.
Sanderson. So
Yeah,
It is.
it turned out to be.
yep. So I wanted to go into an email because we got an email recently asking us about Dragonsteel and sort of some perspectives on it.
All right.
And I figured I'd pass it on to you. I've already responded to some of the specific questions that were answered, but I said I'd pass it on and let y'all give your own answers. But rather than sending an email, I figured we could just talk about it here because it is applicable.
And I think they're in chat too.
So this comes from Admiral Squishy. It says, "Hey guys and gal, tried to come up with some questions. So one, all of the announcements get put out online. The books still come out either way. So for someone out of state, meaning New England, is it worth it to go to Dragonsteel 2024? Thoughts?"
It really is going to depend on how comfortable you are with the con scene. Like, if you are not going to want to talk to the other con goers and participate in the cosplay, or you're if that's going to cause you too much anxiety or stress or too much physical like actual cost, because I mean, you're going to have to find a way to get there, you're going to have to find a place to stay, you're going to have to buy your convention ticket. I would seriously look at it and think about it. I mean, for 24, that's probably the year that you would try to push to go, especially if you're a Stormlight fan. But if it is going to be a huge expenditure, and I mean, I don't want to say don't come to Dragonsteel Con, but I also know sometimes cons can be a lot for people. And so that's
here's what
I'm going to
my
come
only
in
hesitation is there.
Here's what I would say. If you've never been to a convention at all, make every effort to go. I think it's something everyone should try at least once, especially if it's a fandom you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Because even if you're normally an anxious person, even if you're normally someone who doesn't like talking to people, it's very different when you're surrounded by a bunch of people whom share your passion. You're going to find yourself getting pulled into conversations that you didn't expect.
Mhm.
And I've never heard of anyone going to these cons being like, oh, I wish I hadn't have gone. I've heard of people who go to a lot of cons wishing they hadn't gone to this con, that con. But if you're someone who doesn't tend to go to cons, I think you should go at least once. And 2024 is going to be, I think, the year to go. So I say go for it. And if you regret it afterwards, like I'm not saying go into credit card debt or anything for it, save up, be responsible.
Mhm.
But if you're being responsible, if you've saved up the money, give it a try. I think you're not going to regret it. I think you're going to look back on it and say that was a ton of fun.
Yeah. I think based on from what I'm reading, the spirit that the question was asked in, they mention all of the announcements get put out online and the books still come out either way. So is it worth it going? I think they're basically just saying, is there anything at the con that is actually a draw to be at the con? I say yes. Like I'm not going to say, if you're afraid of this, if this makes you anxious, you know your own limits. There will be a lot of people there. You know your own limits going in. So, but I will say, if it's something that there is a part of you that says, I want to try that, it's worth it. It is definitely say, plan for it, budget for it. Of course, make sure it's within your means. But if it is something that is within your means, both emotionally and monetarily, yes, it's worth going to.
So to caveat my thing, I mostly am saying that because my husband doesn't like going to cons. So I have that. So, and I mean, he hasn't gone to Dragonsteel, but he's gone to FanX and stuff like that. And he's like, I've gone a couple times. I just don't, it's not my scene. And so that is my big push is if like Bill was saying, if you know that it's not something that is your kind of thing, then think hard about it. But 24 is going to be crazy, and it's going to.
But I don't feel like that's the question that they were asking, though. I feel like it's more along the lines of just,
is it worth it to go to that? Because
is it worth the effort and time? Because
I mean, you don't. Online, you do not get the other panels. You don't get to
Mhm.
see all the cool booths. You don't get to see all the cool cosplays. You don't get to
Yeah.
to be there.
You don't get to
So
meet the people. You don't get
meet
to
the people, yeah.
experience it. Like there is an atmosphere that's worth going to.
And I mean, this year was the first time that I made it to the closing speech thing, because I usually was closing up the booth and stuff like that. So I wasn't. This is my first time actually going to it, and it's very different being in that room compared to just watching it on a screen.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I would say if you want to go, yes, it's worth going to. If you're looking for reasons not to go, you will find them because they're there. No matter what, if you're looking for a reason not to go, you'll find it. But if you're asking if it's worth the effort, yes, in my opinion, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm
And I think,
definitely going.
well, and I think the important thing you pointed out with your husband, you said he's gone to FanX and he's like, it's not really my thing. Until you go, you don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So
just like you're
I
with
don't know.
vegetables, you got to try it at least once.
Yep. All right. Question 2. You mentioned the rooms are all themed by planets. There was a Scadrial room, etc. Was there any theme-based decorations, Aeons in the cell area, spikes holding up things in Scadrial? Unfortunately, no. The rooms were basically just named. It was just a way to differentiate. You know, Scadrial has this kind of stuff. Threnody has games and other stuff, and
Now,
all that stuff.
what they do is every year they have some sort of con game going on.
Yes.
That is related to the book that is coming out. And so 2 years ago it was what was the book?
It was
It
Lost
was
Metal.
Cytonic.
Cytonic. And 2
years ago.
Yeah. That was Cytonic, and they had a bunch of slugs. Or mushrooms. Yeah, the mushrooms that were hidden around the convention that you had to find. Last year they had it was Lost Metal,
Coins.
and they had given coins to all of us at the booths, and we could just give them to people for cool costumes, cool things, and they could redeem it for stuff. But they were themed after Scadrian coins. And this year
they also had hats hidden around.
Yeah, we didn't have a hat though.
Yeah, we didn't have a hat. And this year they had Delver eyes that people could scan. We did have it. And I just want to point out, everyone validated how great my placement of our Delver eye was.
It was a good
I was so good at it. But, and so they always do theme it around what's coming out. I'm very interested to see what they will do for Stormlight.
Oh, it's going to be Spren. They're going to have Spren to find, obviously. Yeah.
I think it's going to be Cryptics specifically.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Because Cryptics are flat,
or it could be High Spren because it's Zeth's book.
Yeah, I just think Cryptics lend itself more to QR codes, which they seem to like to play with.
It's numbers and math. So yeah, no cool decorations like that, unfortunately.
Question number 3. I love the trading that you guys talked about. I used to do and I think they're talking about when we mentioned Wayne coming.
The Wayne
traders.
They said, I used to do patch trading in Boy Scouts. Are there any tips you can give on items worth bringing to trade or ideas to avoid bringing something that's oversaturated in the fandom? The only thing that I could really think of is pins. Because Brandon is starting to release more and more pins. Now, right now, it's a small amount, so there's probably not going to be a ton of trading. There may be some if you have some exclusive ones that aren't available anymore, that kind of stuff, but that might grow in future years. Who knows?
Well, and it's more to the point, the people who do it, they're the ones who initiate it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're willing,
fun. So I mean, if I would say if you have a costume, especially, or you have a themed T-shirt or something like that you're planning on doing, if you can tie it in with that, it makes it even cooler, because then people can be like, oh, I got it from the person wearing that shirt. Because the vote for Colm's pins, they had the T-shirts that first day, and it was awesome.
And there were a few different things like that. Like the other thing that I did notice a lot of were the badge ribbons.
Yes, that's the thing.
A lot of the vendors were giving out badge ribbons,
and we're gonna try and do that next year, right? I think
possibly.
We're gonna look into that.
Maybe
we'll talk about that behind the scenes.
I'm sorry, I get all excited about it.
And then finally, what cosplays do you think will be the most common at Dragonsteel 2024, and who would you want to see most? I'm going to say there is going to be Shallan and Adolin all over the place.
And Kaladin.
Kaladin is going to be major. Zeth will probably be.
Zeth will be bigger.
I
there's
think
probably
more
see a few
night bloods running
patterns.
around.
I think Hoyd from Here to Eternity, ever since Tress has made it the most easy to do cosplay.
Yeah.
I think
Aside from the
ease of
sequence art.
cosplay is kind of a big thing.
I think
Yeah.
we'll see a few more wits this year than we have in the past,
Yes.
though.
Yeah, there was a wit. I didn't see him personally, but I saw pictures of him. There was a
Mhm.
good wit who was running around. But yeah, I think Tress is a pretty easy one to do, so that's pretty, especially her pirate outfit.
Mhm.
It's pretty comfortable. I missed not having pants the whole
There-
con.
This year, Brandon came out with a lot more comfortable
Characters.
cosplays.
Yeah.
I've noticed.
So I was just like, oh man, I didn't even pick the very comfortable ones. Oh well. But yeah, so I think there's going to be a lot of Stormlight characters, but I think the Secret Project ones will still be fairly prominent. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that's
Definitely Stormlight.
my Shalon will be there. I'll be Shalon one day.
Here's
so.
for me, I would have said like, oh, there's going to be all sorts of unique things, but I would have also said there's no way there's going to be 2 half Shalon, half Veils at the con. And somehow
That's true.
when I saw the second one, I did like I said, shut up. Like the person hadn't said anything to me, but I'm telling them to shut up because I'm just like, it doesn't make any sense. How are there 2 of you?
And you both they were different sides too.
Yeah.
Like, they'd pick which side was which. So if they stood together and it was like, that would have been fun. Oh well. But Veil.
I also
Veil is
wasn't
a
expecting anybody to dress up as the Year of Sanderson boxes. So
Yes.
Yes, that was an awesome one.
So
No,
whatever you can come up with, you might be
It's gonna be
shocked if
there.
you have a doppelganger.
there will probably be several Shallan and Adolin pairings. There will probably be several Kaladin and Syl pairings.
Yeah,
we might
Syl.
see a couple Dalinar and Navani pairings.
Yeah. There was
Brandon's
some
given a
Axios
lot of couples
collectors, too.
costumes
Yeah, he is.
possibilities. But like this year, because it was a Cytoverse based, I
There
think
were a lot of
people.
uniforms.
Well, there are a lot of people who aren't into the Cytoverse who are into Brandon Sanderson, and so I think because of that, we got a lot more variety of Cosmere costumes this year. I think there'll be a lot more Stormlight focus next year. There will still be. We're always going to have our Vin and our.
And
you're
Elend
going to
and
have
everything else. Yeah.
everybody's going to have favorites.
And we better
But,
have Wraithen
yeah.
every year after I saw that one guy.
Yeah, he upgraded it and he has like lights in his arms too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, nothing he does is for show.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of showy, but yeah.
Great.
I expect to see Wraithen every year now.
Yes.
Just dang impressive.
Yeah.
We have another email. Did you want to read that one or no?
I'm deciding.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry. I read ahead too much.
anyway, so yeah, I just there's going to be some good costumes next year. There's going to be some really good costumes next year.
Yeah. We have somebody in chat says Jeffrey cosplay. From Sunlit Man.
This year we did have Sentient Bananas this year as well.
I missed them.
Okay,
I think
I saw them and I was so confused. I'm just like, why are they dressed as bananas? I had completely forgotten about that bit, that running gag in Frugal Wizard. And then Bill had to be like, Frugal Wizard, and also,
Frugal Wizard.
Sentient Bananas.
Bananas.
Yeah.
Which was not, again, when the Secret Projects came out, had you predicted Sentient Bananas would be a running gag somewhere, I would have just been like, what are you talking about? Are you high?
Are you okay?
Well, thank you all so much for writing in. We do love hearing from you, so please keep sending in questions. You can ask us about the Cosmere. You can drop us your ideas for topics you'd like us to discuss during the show. And while you're at it, we would love to hear feedback on how you think we're doing, as well as any interesting theories you might have about what's going on with the Cosmere. You can send all questions and suggestions in a brief, concise email to cosmerestudies@gmail.com, and we could read it as part of the show. You can also reach us at the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies, P.O. Box 970063, Orem, Utah 84097. We've got our own personal projects that we're each working on. So, Amy, why don't you start us off and let us know what you're up to?
So my Facebook is Coincidence Cosplay and Props. My Twitter is @CoincidenceCosp because my name is too long and I'm terrible at posting on there. My Instagram is @coincidence_cosplay. My TikTok is @coincidencecosplay, all one giant word. And my website is www.coincidencecosplay.com and is still sad. But I am going to keep trying to work slowly through my backlog of pictures and things that I never posted. So it's going to be kind of a random mix of things, but I am working on some Christmas gifts for a friend, and it should be to her before she'd even think about listening to this podcast, so I should be okay. But I am so tired of Minky. That is my life right now, is Minky, and I'm so tired of it. It's that super soft fabric, but it sheds like nobody's business.
All I know is
Anyway.
my grandparents have a minky blanket that they have hung over a couch. And I've now made a game. I pointed out to my father that literally everyone touches it as they walk by. And I pointed it out. And as soon as he just started watching all his brothers and sisters as they walk by, he's like, oh my goodness, they do. And then he finds himself doing it. He's like, oh my goodness, I'm doing it. What is this? What is this magic fabric?
No, Minky is super soft. It's really expensive, but oh man, it's such a pain to work with because it sheds everywhere. Anyway, but that's me. I'm just catching up on stuff and things. So that's me.
Cool. Jordan, how about you?
You can find me on Twitch and Kick under the name Splice Stream. You can find me on YouTube as well. I'm going to be. I'm kind of excited. I just finished up a legendary Iron Man campaign in XCOM, and we are hoping this Saturday. I'm trying to figure out how to get it done. We're going to be continuing the strategic bent, and I'm going to be playing my first ever Fire Emblem game. I know there's a lot of you who are big Fire Emblem fans. So this Saturday, I'm going to get that started. And on Tuesday, so, tomorrow or yesterday, depending on when you listen upon this, I'm going to be firing back up Persona 5. I never finished the DLC of Persona 5, so I'll be doing that over the Christmas break as well.
Nice. As for me, I've got another podcast. My friend Dylan and I talk about board games. It's called The Innkeeper's Table, and we put out new episodes every other Friday. Our most recent episode, we did a top 3 games that we want to get off of our shelf of shame in 2024. The shelf of shame is basically games that you own that you have never played, and mine is far larger than I care to admit. So, and then we've also got a game spotlight coming up, and I just blanked on what game we did. So that'll be a surprise. Just keep an eye out for that. So, for those of you who want to support the Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies, but you can't become a patron, we'd love it if you'd just let your friends know about the show, spread the word. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, to like and subscribe over on youtube.com/Cosmere Studies. And if you want to toss us a good review wherever you listen to us, we would absolutely love that. And don't forget to comment on the videos as well. Also, you can head over to store.streamelements.com/Cosmere Studies and you can buy our merch. All right, guys, final thoughts.
It was a good speech.
It was a very good
things
speech.
happening.
Yeah, I want to once again really encourage you. If you didn't listen to it live, go listen to it. Maybe it won't be as life-shattering or life-shattering,
shattering.
Life is changing?
Yeah, changing is the word I was looking for. Thank you. That's much better. Words. I have a physics degree, not an English degree. I shouldn't be expected to do this well.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out. I think it's about an hour and 45 minutes or so if you watch the whole thing from the announcements to the very end. His speech itself is probably 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then
you can scroll
did they include
did
they include the reading at the end of it?
I don't think that's part. Is it?
I don't know.
I don't
that
remember
was
if it was part of the video or not.
We don't know because we were there, so I haven't listened to it. But there is a risk of Stormlight 5.
He gives you a heads up beforehand.
He tells you, so you can stop it if you don't want to hear it.
Well, and to those wondering, you guys didn't cover that at all. We will be covering that reading. Don't you worry.
Absolutely.
That deserves its own episode.
Yep. All right. Well, in addition to the live episodes of the show that stream on youtube.com/Cosmere Studies every 2 weeks on Monday nights at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, listeners can find our videos on YouTube or audio versions of the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and just about any other service that carries podcasts by searching for Cosmere Studies. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook under the profile at Cosmere Studies. For our next episode in 2 weeks on New Year's Day, we are excited because we're going to be diving into the state of the Sanderson Post, which should already be out if you're listening to the recording of this episode. It's always a great time, and there is a good chance that this year is going to be something special. So make sure to join us for the discussion when we stream it live in 2 weeks on Monday, January 1st, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern at www.youtube.com/Cosmere Studies. Until then, on behalf of Amy, Jordan, and myself, thanks for listening, and remember, there's always another secret.
secret.